Now, I just quickly want to say that the list that's in this video has been changed. So basically, when I made this list, I wasn't caught up to date with the Adventures of Sinbad manga. And the reason is that I'm changing it is because we actually see slight spoilers. We see David do some stuff. I'm not going to say what he does because I don't imagine most people are caught up with it. But all I will say is David was at 8 when I made this, and he still will be because the video was recorded last week. But I'm actually bumping him up to number 4. So yes, you will see in the video it says he's 8, but in the description I'll have updated the list, and David is at number 4, not number 8. And obviously, you know, if you just need to catch up with the Adventures of Sinbad because it explains quite a lot of the main plot and a lot of things. It explains so much, to be honest. And beside that, it's a great series. So just wanted to put that in. And yeah, now on to the top 20. Just so you guys know, I will not be including any Dijin specifically or god characters. So there will be Metal Vessel users, but not the Dijin themselves. So that's not going to count. And so no god characters, you know, so no Sinbad, no, no, there is Sinbad, but there's no God Sinbad, there's no God David, God Ugo, and God Solomon, for example, right? So number 20, we got Alexis. Now, you know, he's half fanalist and he's half human, so he's not as strong as the other fanalists, but that means he can use some magic, right? And because of that, he's able to use the Dijin. So he can't actually maintain it for that long, which is the reason why he's so low. He can actually, I think it's a very, very short period. I mean, he is very powerful, but it's just the period that he can use it is very low. And then to boot, he's not that, you know, as strong as any other fanalist. So, because I mean, they were like children fanalists who were much stronger than him. So yeah, that's why he's just number 20, you know, just cracking the list. Now, one thing I want to say is that number 19 to number, I would say 15, like all of these characters are interchangeable. Like you could switch them around, it would all be the same. Now, at number 19 we have Armakan Amun-Ra, right? So this guy, the thing is, right, we've not seen him fight. All we've seen him do is go into his Dijin equipped. So, you know, just by base, I'm going to put him over Mu because he can at least maintain it. But I'm not going to put him over other Dijin users because we haven't seen a single thing of what this guy could do. I mean, he could simply be like a top 10 for all we know, but we just don't know. So just to be safe, I'm putting him here because just by being a Dijin user, he's stronger than Mu because he can maintain it. At least I think, right? You could argue maybe Mu could get that one shot, one kill on him before he goes back into his normal form. But I'm just saying, because of durability and time, I would put him over Mu, even though we haven't seen him fight. Now, next we have Darius Leoxus. Now, we've actually seen him use his Dijin, but not in full equipped. We've seen the ability, so it's something to do with shields, like he can create shields for himself, right? And we've also seen his fully equipped. We've never seen him fight in his fully equipped, but at the very least, we've got something to work with. And I actually think, you know, shields, I actually think it's a very, very powerful ability. Like imagine it when he goes fully Dijin equipped, like he could just put a shield over a country that's impregnable or something. So that's why I put him at 18. I mean, in terms of fighting, he could probably utilize it because he does seem like a fighter. I mean, he has like a javelin lance sort of thing, a longsword, but it's not the most offensive based Dijin, but it's still, I imagine it can be very, very useful in a fight. Next we have Komei Ren. Now the reason he's, you know, we've actually seen him do a lot of stuff, but he's quite intelligent. He was the strategist of the Ko Empire just in general. So he's clearly very intelligent. His Dijin has to do with space manipulation, right? So he can like teleport things and warp stuff. And I think there was, if I'm recalling correctly, he even warped a mountain, I think, when they were fighting the medium. So, you know, he's pretty powerful, right? And he can like create portals and cut things in half. But his ability is more so catered for support, I think. Like, he is like, of most of the Jin, I would argue he's one of the greatest support Jin, if there was such a thing. Right? He's just such an amazing, like, that would be an amazing ability to utilize for many different things, especially support in battle. Let's say someone's injured, you could just teleport them out, or teleport the enemy away, or teleport things if you need something. So there's a lot of things you can do with it, but in a straight up fight, even though he's so smart, I just don't think, you know, it's the best thing, or he's like catered towards fighting, just he himself, you know. Next we have Morgiana, and I know people would be surprised saying why you put Morgiana over some Dijin users, and the reason I did this is because, well, we saw like end of series Morgiana first of all. That's the one that I put here. I mean, the level of strength, and also I'm also putting Morgiana in the Dark Continent. That's the Morgiana I'm putting in. So if we put her into the Dark Continent, that is the one at 16. I just think the strength and speed, it's seriously just out of this world. And then we have Mira Diana's Art Amina, right? So I've actually seen this person use her Dijin quite a bit actually in Sinbad's adventures. So it's kind of like 3 heads, and each head can use an element, you know, including herself, of course, as one of the heads. So I actually think it's very, very versatile. Like, being able to use, I mean, she compared it to having 3 different like Dijin elements. So I actually think it's very powerful. Like, you could, you know, it really is pretty crazy. In terms of offense, yeah, it's definitely a Dijin you would want to get. And then next we have the king of, I believe his empire was called Kano King, if I think. I'm just trying to remember. But he is Yamato, and he is a water-based Dijin. Now, I have put him quite high, and the reason I've done this is because just back when he was, but during the Ko Empire arc, right, he used his Dijin, like, he couldn't fully equip it. He only used it for his arm. And the way he was able to utilize it, it was such an offensive threat. I mean, it seemed incredibly powerful, even with just that. And now, if we're saying a full Dijin equipped, because he seemed like a fighter, and his Dijin just seems, in terms of offense, just out of this world, to be honest. So that's why I put him up there. He just seems just very powerful, honestly. In case you haven't gotten the memo right now. And then after that, there's Alibaba. Now, the reason Alibaba is ahead of others, like all the other Dijin users, is because of his ability of, you know, future sight that he has. Because not only can he use his Dijin, but he also now has the ability, after the time skip, to kind of peek into the future. It's kind of like the Sharingan, how you can see movements as they happen, like before they happen. He's got that, basically. Plus, Amon is pretty powerful to boot, and he seemed pretty powerful, so I'm just those 2 factors together, I'm putting him up there. Next, we have Cohen Wren. Now, I mean, do I even need to explain this guy? His Phoenix Dijin, his Earth Dijin, he's kind of like, just, so, he is very powerful, and he can even heal to boot. So, there's that. I actually don't really think I need to explain that much, because he got so much screen time in the anime. So, Cohen Wren, his name itself, you know, speaks volumes. Now, this is going to confuse some people, right? And let me explain this. I have Hakuryu over him. Now, the reason I've done this is, I'm talking about post-time skip Hakuryu, so after the 2 years. He had trained his 2 Dijin to such a level that when he was taking on Arba, she couldn't even get close to him without her hands disintegrating. I believe it was due to Zagan. I mean, first of all, Belial to just like wipes. I mean, his 2 Dijin, it's not that, you know, you could argue that Cohen Wren is stronger because he has more Dijin, and we've also, you know, I think it's more important about how Dijin combo when you have 2. His 2 Dijin really, beside the fact that they are extraordinarily powerful, they combo pretty well. And we've seen Cohen Wren combo his Dijin. I actually think he was the first person to do that, where he comboed 2 different Dijin. But Hakuryu, honestly, especially after the time skip, he just seems like he's on a completely another level. And if you saw him take on Arba, you'd know what I mean, how he's disintegrating her hand. I mean, he really, Hakuryu I just gotta put him up there. And of course, number 10, so actually I think the parts of the list where, like, number 20 to 11, like, you could switch characters around. It doesn't really matter, but I think number 1 to 10, that's when it actually gets, like, when it starts to matter, you know, like, that's when it's, like, the strong guys, right? So, of course, number 10, we have Sinbad. Now, of course, this is Sinbad pre-God mode, because we're not including God characters. Still, having 7 Djinn, I just think that's ridiculous. And I think his Djinn as well are just so powerful. Plus, it's Sinbad. He's just got it. He's number 10, right? It's just Sinbad. Like, what more do I need to say? Number 9, we have the Magi from the Rem Empire, whose name I cannot say, and Titus. So I'm putting them both at the same tier because they really, relatively, Titus gets all her powers, and, you know, it's just one person. The reason I'm putting him, because there's 2 people, at the lowest of the Magi is because we've seen Titus fight, but we just haven't seen any combat abilities when they're in their Magi form, especially from her. We haven't seen a fight at all. We've seen Titus fight, and I'm guessing those abilities passed over to him when he was a Magi, but relatively, I'm just putting him and her at number 9. And number 8, we have David. Now, the reason he is below all the other Magi is because we know he's a genius magician. That cannot be argued. He's a complete genius. But in terms of fighting, like, how strong is he? Because there's a difference between just having a vast knowledge and knowing a lot. I mean, obviously, they overlap. Like, to be incredibly powerful, you need to have a vast knowledge. But sometimes you can have a vast knowledge and you cannot be, you know, the strongest person. Do you get what I'm saying? So, obviously, David wasn't a Magi. I think that would really hurt for him. Like, this is just David when he had the staffs. So I'm putting that David right here. And I really think that would hurt him if he, like, let's say, in some sandbox world, we could put, like, Judea against David, pit one against the other. I really do think Judea would have the upper hand because he's a Magi and he has that raw, that limitless raw. David doesn't have that because he's not a Magi. So as great as a magician he is, I'm putting him below everyone else on this list. So at number 7, we have Judea. Now, Judea, first of all, he's a Magi, limitless raw magic. So right off the bat, like, you're just incredibly powerful, right? I mean, like, I think all the Magi, anyone who's been a Magi has broken top 10. So there's that. And we've also seen him use gravity, lightning, ice. I mean, and we saw that, all those type of magics. And we saw him use, like, this magic that cancelled out magic within an area. And we've seen him do a lot of crazy stuff and open up that third eye. For sure, Joe is a solid 7. Now, number 6, we got Shiba. Now, the reason I put Shiba over Judea is because Shiba's a Magi as well. So that evens that playing field. And Shiba was fighting for years, right? For, like, years, seriously. So I guess it's the experience. That's also why I would put Shiba above Judea. And Shiba was offensively, like, catered. She really did specialize in fighting. So that's why I mean, honestly, you could put Judea over Shiba, or you could switch the other one. I guess that's really down to your opinion. I actually wouldn't mind either way who's above who for those 2. Number 5, we have Yunnan. Now, the reason I put Yunnan is this guy's been alive for 9 lifetimes, right? 9. And he is just out of this world powerful. Because we did see him fight Arba. And he put up a good fight. Because think about it. This is Arba. And this is an absolute monster. And he put up a great fight, I think. And just his knowledge, his capabilities, he really, and he just experienced, he's been alive for so long. Definitely a top 5, I think. He did get beat by Arba pretty badly. But that's Arba. I'm considering Arba as number 3 on this list. Spoiler. Like, come on. I actually do not blame him. Like, I think if that was Judea, like, in a one-on-one clean, because Judea and Hakuryu, not only did they team up, but they had some incredible prep, like, incredible strategy to beat her. They had to pull out some, like, crazy magic from Almatoran times to beat her. She's just that powerful. And even then, it was a close call. And even then, they didn't actually kill her. It's just crazy, right? So, in a one-on-one with no prep, I mean, he didn't set anything up. It was just a clean one-on-one. He went to stop Adba from going to Aladdin, so he didn't actually have time. It was a clean fight. Yeah, no one, I don't think anyone beside number 2 and number 1 are being Adba. So, and yeah, that's number 5, Yunnan. Number 4, Ugo, or Ugo, however you want to say it. This is, of course, pre-God, before he was a Djinn. This is when he was a Magi. Now, I realize I've put him up quite high. Now, you can actually, like, Ugo is interchangeable with number 7. Like, you could sort him out at number 5, 6, 7. Because, even I have to be honest, I'm putting him quite high. Like, the reason he's not number 7, like, he's above Judea, Shiba, and Yunnan, is because of some headcanon, as well as some knowledge that we know. So we know he's Magi, first of all. Before everything, like, before he went to the Sacred Palace and became the Djinn, he was already a Magi, so he has that access to that role. But we also know that, he's a genius magician, and he was fighting with Solomon for, I don't know how many years as a magician. Like, it was well over decades. It is a lot of fact, and the fact that he was able to, like, create a whole new world and sacred path and all this crazy stuff. I mean, transferring, he just seems like a genius, just on an absolutely other level. So in a fight, not the Djinn, just Magi, Ugo, I put him above everyone else because of the feats that he's shown. We haven't seen him fight, but we know he can fight, and just the things that he's done, really, I think he would have some stuff up his sleeve. But that is headcanon. Number 3, Adba, the Witch of Almatoran, the demon, the beast, the devil, whatever you want to say. Just an absolute tank. My favorite character. My 2 favorites are Yunnan and Adba. So when they fought, I actually thought that was, like, amazing. That was, like, my favorite fight in Magi, just so you know. Now, she's been alive for over 2,000 years, I think. It's like 1,000, 2,000, I don't remember how long it was. Either way, it's over 1,000. Possibly 2,000, I don't remember the exact date. But at that point, it doesn't even matter. Like, when she fought Aladdin, post-time skip, she was busting out, like, 4 or 5 extreme magics, just firing them at once. She used Amon's extreme magic, she used Barak Saika. Now, given she was using Al-Thaman, but she'd actually turned them all the magicians of Al-Thaman to dolls, like brainless puppets, and using them. I count that as her own abilities, because she set that all up. She's just so powerful, and in general, her swordsmanship is out of this world. The amount of Magi, like, beside the fact that she's a Magi, the fact that she's fallen into depravity means she actually has more access to Roh, even though it's unlimited. It's crazy, like, how powerful she is. Hakuryu and Judea, beside the tag team they had to pull against her, they were getting their asses handed to them. They weren't beating her, but of course they pulled out that, that area where you can't use magic. I mean, that is just more so props to them, to be honest. Like, doing that was crazy. Even then, they had to use, like, I think it was like 72 magicians, I think, all around the castle in order to activate that. So it wasn't even like a clean 2-on-1, or even 4-on-1, because they had the guards fighting her. I mean, if you've read the manga, I mean, no words need to be said on why she's number 3. Number 2, Solomon. And this is pre-God. This is just Solomon when he was just chilling, when he was with the lads back in the day of Almatoran. I mean, using his magic to just influence the dimensional planes is pretty broken, if you ask me. I mean, that is incredibly powerful. It's Solomon. If you've read Almatoran, you know how powerful this guy is. He's just something else, really. It really is something else. And I think even given Adba all, like, let's say we put, like, current Adba against Solomon from the past, I still think Solomon would pull out on top. to be honest. I mean, because there was like limit. The only reason, it's a bit tough because Solomon had a limited amount of magic, but then Alibaba didn't have that problem. She has limitless magic because she's a Magi, of course, and Solomon we're talking about is before he was a god. So I mean, you could actually, you know, it's tough because like just by that alone, I might give Alibaba the edge, but Solomon is pretty powerful. I would keep Solomon at 2. And at number 1, I mean, his name hasn't been said. You guys have guessed it. It is Aladdin. Post-time skip Aladdin is the strongest, by far, just want to say by far, is the strongest character we've ever seen in the series. That's not God or Djinn. He would actually wipe the floor of Djinns, actually. So anyone who's not a god, like, just wouldn't be able to touch Aladdin. Well, just Solomon's wisdom. He had the dimensional planes. He's a Magi to boot. Imagine just turn like Solomon, how strong he was, make him stronger, and then give him limitless magic. That's Aladdin. That is literally Aladdin. Because the post-time skip Aladdin we see is like 1,000,000 times better than the pre-time skip Aladdin that fought Judea. Like I don't know how he got so much more powerful in the 2 years. But that's that. I mean, I guess like for the like number 20, you could like shift around number 20 and 19 and 18. Honestly, you could like shift those with other Djinn users that we haven't seen fight. There was that one, like the kid who looked like a girl, that guy from the from the Cohen Empire. The reason he's not on this list is because the guy who uses Scythe, he didn't seem that powerful. Plus, he seemed pretty young. Yeah, I mean, I guess this list, and again, well, not again, I've never said this, but this is just my take on it, my opinion. You could have a completely different take, and that's fine, you know?